Welcome to the Worst Sports Channel on YouTube, Hot Garbage Sports with me, Coach Ryan D. Oilers fans, you've been asking for it, you've been waiting for it. Here's your Oilers breakdown. We're going to talk about 3 weaknesses that the Oilers are going to need to overcome, especially with the Mike Smith injury. Then we're going to talk about the 3 greatest strengths the Oilers have and need to leverage and double down on and triple down on in order to keep up this pace in the Pacific. They're the best team in the Pacific Division right now. It's only 3 games in, but they were a very good team last year, minus an unfortunate exit early in the playoffs. They look like an even better team this year. Oiler fans, let's break down what's going on with you. You're going to love this one. Roll that intro.
Here's Lemieux. The center penalty coming up. Look at Lemieux. Oh my God.
All right, Oiler fans, let's start with the 3 strengths. Everybody always wants to talk about a positive note. So there's 3 massive positive notes. Number 1, the transition game. The transition game for the Edmonton Oilers is the best in the NHL, period, hard stop. No one plays a faster game than Edmonton. Remember, when we talk about fast on this channel, fast doesn't mean you skate fast. Sure, McDavid does. It means you move the puck fast from north to south. No one exits their zone faster and puts pucks in the back of the net quicker than the Edmonton Oilers. So you want to know how fast the Oilers are? 7 seconds. That's all it takes them to go from their zone to the puck being in the back of your net. They do this on repeat. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the goals against the Ducks. 5:16 on the clock as Ceci Pulijujarvi picks up the puck near his own goal line. It takes another 2 seconds off the clock for him to take 5 strides up ice, get his eyes looking up for his buddy Leon Draisaitl. Puck's ready to be passed. That is quick turnaround from south to north. Draisaitl picks up that pass at his blue line, takes a quick 5 strides up ice. Puck is sitting here, and it has only taken 2 more seconds off the clock for them to get to mid-ice. That's 4 seconds from their own zone, changing direction from north to south for Draisaitl to pick up that puck, and his buddy McDavid, the big X factor of this team, is going to pick it up in stride. You can already see it. The Anaheim Ducks defensemen, they're burnt. 5:09 is the time remaining on the clock. 7 seconds. Puck's already in mid-motion. Stellaris, you know what? This is a tough save. Because of the speed, he has to back so far into his net. He doesn't have time to get set. Connor McDavid spends less than 3 seconds getting from center ice to the bottom of the circle. He is so fast with that puck. Doesn't even have to be a hard shot because when you play at speed, you can fool goalies. That puck goes in. And this team, they do this on repeat. That's part of their greatest hits album, from their own zone into the back of the net. If you fail to score on the Oilers and a rebound comes up and an orange, blue, or white with orange and blue jersey picks it up, it's going in the back of your net. They're that fast on transition, best in the league. And Oiler fans, if you're new to Hot Garbage Sports, we cover a lot of Canadian teams, love covering the Oilers. Even though we're your rival Jets fans back here, we give really pragmatic hockey advice. So smash that thumbs up, smash that like button. You're not going to want to miss the McDavid watch either. Something special for you. Number 2 for the Oilers, they actually have a viable line 3. Yes, we can easily point to the fact that Dave Tippet is running his first line at an incredible rate. But we talked about this in the Oilers season preview. Tippett sucks at ice management. Of course, he's going to run Draisaitl and McDavid together, and he's going to run a ridiculous amount of minutes for them. But the good news for the Oilers fans is they have a viable third line. I said Warren Foegele is like Zach Hyman light. He's an excellent defensive-minded player. You go ahead, you add in Zach Kassian to that line, and then you go ahead and add Derek Ryan. The third line is actually viable. The third line can score goals from time to time. And again, they did against the Ducks, and they did it with high skill. Yes, it was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on a line change with Foegele and Kassian, but the fact that there is a viable third line in Edmonton makes them very dangerous. All right, take a look at Warren Foegele here. Like I said, Zach Hyman light, defensive takeaway. Puck ends up moving up the wall here for a bit of a breakout. Foegele's going to pick it up and start the high-skilled cycle for him, Kassian, and Hopkins. Foegele now has full possession of that puck, and what you can see is you have 1, 2, 3 Edmonton Oilers, and they are going to outcycle all 4 of the Anaheim Ducks defenders. And note, you shouldn't win this. When you're 4-on-3, there's no way you should win this. But when it comes to cycling and using speed and skill, you can get guys out of position, and you can take mismatches like 4-on-3s and actually turn them into things like 2-on-1s on your favor. And that's what ends up happening here, and why Kassian gets an open net on this goal. And you can see that here. Foegele ends up taking the puck behind the net. It's right here on the X, and now he's taken 1-2 Ducks defenders with him. So now what you're left with is you're actually left with a 1-on-0 here in the corner, and you're left with a 2-on-1 here in front of the net. Kassian is actually going to sneak in here to the back door, and what ends up happening for Stellaris is that the puck changes angles on him. What a cycle is meant to do, we talk about the Royal Road all the time, is cross the puck over that Royal Road, giving you a green chance, and it's also going to allow you to change direction of the puck from north to south so that Edmonton can further change that angle against Stellaris and have an open net. And then you take a look at the big tough guy Kassian. He just came from where the X was and sneaks behind the defender here. Sneaking behind these two defenders, what you actually end up doing now is creating a one-on-one situation, and you're creating a one-on-one situation where the player isn't watching you. So Kassian has snuck into that back door. He's going to end up potting this one. And Hopkins makes absolutely no mistake with this pass. Endless daylight there for Kassian to put it in. So between Foegele, Kassian, and Hopkins, three very defensive-minded players, you get a beautiful offensive goal. Then finally, the last piece to the Oilers' success is that deadly power play. It is the best in the NHL. I know I'm making bold statements by saying the best transition, the best power play. It is. It's 1-1. This team's offense being driven by Draisaitl and McDavid, it's impossible to understate how important these two areas are in hockey, and Edmonton just does it so well because of these two guys. The power play is the third reason they are so deadly. We're going to go ahead and take a look at a 5-on-3. Everybody thinks that 5-on-3s are simple. These are actually tricky. Yes, you should score on them, but they're a very different setup than a 5-on-4. On a 5-on-4, you're trying to get shots from the point and the shooter position. On a 5-on-3, what you're trying to do is you're actually attempting to take less shots and set up for just one shot, the perfect shot. And Edmonton does this better than anybody else. You are trying to collapse, getting tighter and tighter around the goaltender until you are able to get that backdoor goal. I will show you what I mean. So Edmonton's running what we call a box plus one here, which is what you want to do in a 5-on-3. So you actually want to have one player here, your second player here, your third player down low, your fourth player somewhere near the dot, drawing a little bit of a box shape. And then your fifth player, this is why we call it a box plus one, can be anywhere from the front of the net to the middle of the slot. So 5 can be anywhere we're drawing this arrow. And then what we see is we see Edmonton quite spread out here. This is a lot of distance to cover. We actually want to go ahead and be able to get all 5 of our players into this tighter area, collapsing around Stellaris, and they end up doing it beautifully. Most teams actually end up sticking on the outside here, which is not ideally what you want to do. You want to collapse this triangle and get tighter. So you can see they end up moving the puck once over to the left, and then immediately Edmonton starts pushing in. You can see Draisaitl pushing in here, and you can start to see that box collapsing and getting tighter around Anaheim. That puck ends up moving south, and Edmonton tries a short little jam play here on Stellaris, which makes a lot of sense because our fifth player in our box plus one is sitting here down low. And now you actually have a 2-on-0 down here. This isn't a 2-on-3, and it's a 2-on-0 because all 3 Duck players are on the wrong side of the puck. If you're new to this channel, being on the right side of the puck means being between the puck and your goaltender. If you're not between your puck and your goaltender when you're on defense, you're on the wrong side of the puck. Really simple. So you can see it here, 3 Ducks on the wrong side of the puck, a 2-on-0 in front. And then what Draisaitl is doing is collapsing that box. So now you're going to see both players collapsing in, and you can see that box getting tighter as I drew it before, and that spells trouble for Anaheim. Puck ends up popping out here, and because that box ended up getting tighter, now you got 3 Ducks in a line on the right side of the puck, but you now have a 4-on-3 down low, and that can be trouble for Anaheim just simply because Draisaitl here being your X factor, he's going to back up and he's going to have a lot of daylight for that cross seam pass. And there it is. That puck points over and you have nothing but daylight. And I know that seems easy. It's a 5-on-3. You should score. It is actually extremely difficult, and it's not a well-practiced thing at any level of hockey because 5-on-3s are just rare. You practice the 5-on-4 like crazy because that is the most common power play you're going to get. 5-on-3 isn't practiced nearly as much, and that is why you see a lot of teams struggle at 5-on-3s in terms of turning them into points. It feels like they should be better, but they're not. Edmonton, it's always deadly. So now you know what a 5-on-3 is supposed to look like because Edmonton just makes a clinic out of it. So what are the 3 weaknesses that Edmonton's going to have to overcome? Well, it's pretty simple. 1, Mike Smith's on IR. So you're going to need Koskinen to step in and do what Smith did. I said before in our preview for Edmonton going into this year that Koskinen is nowhere near as good as Mike Smith. Mike Smith is aging. If he falls off the cliff or ends up getting injured, this could spell trouble for the Oilers. Koskinen is absolutely, possibly going to spell trouble for the Oilers. So the Oilers are going to have to win races to 5 and 6 to make up for Koskinen. However, I may be wrong because goalies flip-flop all the time. If Koskinen gets hot and is able to carry the load, that's great. So will the Oilers be able to make up for Koskinen? I'm not sure, because the second weakness that Edmonton's going to have to overcome is their defensive play from their 6 defensemen. Said before, I think Edmonton's got a great defensive core. They just haven't been playing that well. They're not shoulder checking properly. They're not picking up men in front of the net. That's why 5 goals ended up going in against Anaheim. The Edmonton defensive core is going to have to tighten up as a unit of 6. The great news is that even though Mike Smith is out, defense usually step up when backup goaltenders go in and they play a little bit above themselves. It also changes the way a team's going to play. They play with a little more urgency, a little more shot blocking. So hopefully the top 6 core for Edmonton, Nurse, Barrie, Ceci, Russell, hopefully they step up and play a little bit better. The one asterisk I'll give to what I'm saying is Evan Bouchard is playing awesome. This guy's lights out. Like you absolutely have a career defenseman here. It's no Jamie Drysdale yet, but Bouchard is going to be a real winner for Edmonton. And then number 3 in the D zone, the offensive players, especially guys like Pulijujarvi in that, I'm still seeing a lack of hustle in the D zone. McDavid's D zone has gotten incredibly better, but we absolutely need to see guys like Pulijujarvi step up. The Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins line 2, that line is going to be deadly. Yamamoto going into that adds the offensive punch, but Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman are 2 of the best defensive forwards in the league. Foegele, like I said, is Hyman light. He's developing into it. Kassian is a defensive first forward, and Derek Ryan is quite nice as well too. So the forwards as a crew, not too bad, but guys like Pulijujarvi and that are going to have to step up a little bit more to help those defensemen out. Let's go ahead and roll our new segment.
This is McDavid Watch with your host, Coach Ryan D.
Connor McDavid and his race to 200 points. 130 points is realistic. 140 points, probable. 160 points, unlikely. 200 points, Coach Ryan D, you've gone nuts. Never going to happen. No one's coming next to Gretzky's record. Well, nobody really wants to watch videos called "This is what probably should likely happen." If McDavid gets 130 points, no one will bat an eyelash. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. So we're not going to cover that. We're going to cover McDavid on his race to 200. So he has put up 191 point pace at this time. Yes, it's only game 3. Get it. He has 7 points in 3 games. The guy is a Konami cheat code. He is breaking the NHL, and he's got a blistering 2.33 goal per game record. There's a lot of things that can happen in the season that will derail this and can derail this. But frankly, it's no fun covering the best player in the world. Hard stop, period, exclamation point. The best player in the world if he's only going to get 130 points. So it's the race to 200. We're on pace for 191 now. McDavid gets 3 against Anaheim. What will David put up tonight? All right, team. Thanks for following us. Thanks for watching us. We'll catch you in our next Oilers breakdown video. Jets video coming later tonight. Oilers fans, hope you enjoyed.